Ugeni Madonna, Imazegno, Overo, obviously, I'm an Azor, or Ugeni Madonna.
You will have to serve the community for 30 years before you come to this stage. They will update you of your title. Then by then you are one of the elder.
This year now, we don't read the year, so that's why we can do this year.
Historically, joining the Elders Council, an individual must have reached a certain age and must have made significant contributions to the community through leadership, service, or other meaningful ways. There was jubilation in the community as sons and daughters of Okada, both at home and in the diaspora, trooped out to be part of the ceremony, with various homes of the initiates agog with festivities. Friends and well-wishers of those initiated into the Elders Council jubilated at the Ogwedion after performing all traditional rites. The elders, known as Edion, in company with their loved ones, danced to their various homes where guests and family members were entertained.
ITV, certainly the best.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Who am I? Now that's $1 million question that a lot of people ask themselves. Yes, it might sound like a rhetorical question, but trust me, this is one question that is begging for answers. Now, a whole lot of adults might have been there and done that, but they haven't yet figured out who they are. Well, this question is not peculiar to adults. As a matter of fact, it is more applicable to young people, especially teenagers. There are lots of teenagers out there who are yet to figure out who exactly they are. Now, is this a phase that they're just passing through, or it's something that sticks with them forever? That is one of the things that we're going to try to unravel on this week's episode of Flipside on Independent Television, reaching you live from the city of Benin. My name is Harry Aigboje, and it's always a pleasure to have you join me on this show. Now, for those that are just joining us for the first time, Flipside is a unique show that beams its searchlight on some pressing issues in the society. Okay, so we deal on basically social-cultural issues. Anything that deserves our attention in the society is what we beam our searchlight on. Now, I'm not alone. As usual, I've got someone in the house, someone who is an expert in the field of teenagers. Okay, she interfaces and interacts with teenagers time and time again. Well, she's quite a popular face, right? She's not new. But I'm going to let her introduce herself. She goes by the name of Abigail Airobahi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
viewers.
Welcome on board.
Good to be here.
Yeah, you're looking dapper today.
Thank you.
As always, though. But I mean,
Yes.
I think you are a bit exceptional today.
All right. Thanks for the compliment.
You're welcome. All right, so we have a very interesting conversation. Teenage identity crisis, self-awareness, and esteem. So let's unravel the mystery. First off, when you hear questions like, has any teenager asked you that question before? Who am I? Or have you encountered situations where a teenager is confused about his or her identity before?
All right. I've not really directly received that question of who am I from teenagers, but there are some experience I've had with teenagers, and I know that particular phase that they are in, or the particular question that they are asking me, or the challenges they are going through. I know it has to do with identity crisis. They may not particularly call it identity crisis, but from the description or from the conversation I will have with them, I will know that as an expert in the field, I know that what this teenager is going through is a phase, is an emotional period that they are trying to understand who they truly are. And the thing is that with time, they will actually get a thorough knowledge of who they are. But at that particular moment, at that time, they are so confused about their identity, about what they believe in. Sometimes they begin to question their values. They begin to question their belief system. So it's something that most teenagers, if I won't say, even every teenager, just that when we look at it, identity crisis. It cannot just, that word crisis looks big. It can be confusion. They can be confused about certain aspects about their life. So it's quite common.
Okay, let's take it.
Teenagers.
Thank you very much, Abigail. Let's take a more cursory look at this. Okay, when we say that teenagers often find it hard to figure themselves out, what areas or what aspects of their personalities do they grapple with most of the time?
Okay, when we look at the question of identity, who am I? We live in a society where we are faced with different information. A child growing up, the primary source of information, the primary reference point for them is their parents. At that young age, you realize that especially for children below the age of 10, preteen, children who have not gotten to adolescence, you realize that most times they want to...
they're the ones that are called the puberty, right?
Pre-puberty, that's preteen,
okay.
yes,
okay.
before puberty.
Okay.
Puberty starts around age 9.
9, okay.
Depends on the individual. You realize that every information, like their parents are their primary reference points, and also their caregivers, their teachers in school. Any information they hear from somewhere, maybe from a book, they will want to kind of cross-check them with you. But when children begin to get to that teenage phase, you realize that you are not their only source of reference. There are several factors that is kind of shaping their perception. Now, it will not kind of lead to a kind of confusion. Okay, this is what my parents and guardians, look at what they are saying concerning this particular set of beliefs or principles. And look at what my peers, especially when they get to that age, that teenage age of 13 and above, peer influence kind of become more like they listen more to their peers at that particular point. That doesn't mean they don't listen to their parents, but if such a child is growing up, or such a teenager is growing up in a home where the parents are negligent, or the parents are uninvolved, or the parents are kind of, they just leave them to themselves,
they are
like
nonchalant about
yes,
it,
they are nonchalant. You don't have a hold over them, you don't set boundaries, there are no structures, or let's say the home is not a functional home. At that point in time, you realize that they will be given to so many information. The media will be there to tell them what to do. Sometimes they may even have pressing questions within their mind. They will go to the media to check for the meaning of that particular word. So for a teenager going through that period of identity crisis is kind of a challenging period, because teenagers at that stage, they are growing biologically, physically, emotionally, and socially. So they need guidance. They need guidance at that particular point, because it's not really easy. Even with a teenager with proper guidance, they still need somebody who will still follow them through the way.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Abigail. That was a very good starter. Well, if you're just joining us, it is Flipside on Independent Television. We shall be going on our first break on the show. When we return, someone who's equally an expert in this field will be joining us on board. Please stay tuned.
Stand up for the champions, stand up.
So your wife thought say you must play.
I must play today. I must play.
As you play and finish.
As I play and finish. Next thing.
The Oba of Benin added a colorful mood to the year's celebration as he walks round the city center amidst cheers.
thanks for rejoining us. It is Flipside on Independent Television, and we're discussing teenage identity crisis, self-awareness, and esteem. And I have joining us right about now someone who is also an expert in this field. He goes by the name of Oladele Ogundele. He is an educationist and, of course, the State Secretary of AFED. You're welcome on board, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, viewers. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Again.
It's good to have you.
Nice to be on Flipside again.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, we have a very interesting conversation, sir. Just before you came, Abigail was opening our eyes to certain mysteries surrounding teenagers, especially as it concerns self-awareness and the entire identity crisis that teenagers go through at a certain stage of their lives. Now, I would like to know, and this goes to you, Mr. Dele, how does self-awareness help young people make better choices? First off, how would you define self-awareness? What's self-awareness to you?
Okay, thank you very much. Just as the word go by, awareness, self-awareness, having a very proper understanding of your composition or the component, and if possible, talking about both emotional, intellectual, and even the preferences, the desires of these our.
Does that also include your temperament as a person?
Yes, temperamental classification, whatever, to know. It's very, very important. And when it comes to now, when you have this proper awareness, there's one thing that I've seen that I've make things better over the years for me when it comes to teenagers and singles. First of all, identify who you are, where you are. Then the next thing now goes to where you are going and who you want to be, because they are undergoing molding.
Okay.
So this self-awareness.
Let's take that again. Who you are.
Yes. Who you are, what you are made up of.
Okay.
And where you are going, or who you want to be.
Who you aspire to be.
Who you aspire to be.
Okay.
Very, very important. And not just the teenagers, even the guardians. We must have this understanding, talking about we parents with mentors and guardians. When you have this, it helps us to now take off from a point and we can move trajectory towards a certain stage or point we want to take that child to.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Dele, for that very insightful one. Now, I would like to ask you, Abigail, in opening, I said that some adults also struggle with identity crisis. How true is that?
Well, it's true. It's true that some adults will sometimes struggle with identity crisis, though a developmental psychologist known as Erik Erikson, he said the adolescent stage is the period of identity and role confusion. And sometimes when life is in process, when you jump one particular process, you don't leave it, you don't actualize it at that particular point. You are going to meet it in the future. So that's the reason why.
If you didn't complete a certain phase of your life.
Yes, you are in a hurry. You just want to grow up so quick. You just want to become an adult so quick. Okay. So it is normal for that thing to have spiral effect.
What about children who were forced
to become
by life
adults?
Circumstances to become adults?
They will also experience it when they become adults. So that thing they didn't experience as a teenager, they will meet it when they become adults. So they begin to have identity crisis. They become confused about who they are. Sometimes it affects their relationship. It affects even their parenting. A parent will find it difficult. We talk about self-awareness. There are some parents that are not self-aware. Self-awareness means understanding who you are and what led to who you are. Sometimes people will tell you that something happened to you in the past and you didn't heal properly from that thing. So at the end of the day, begin to have spillover effect. It will affect your relationship. It will affect the way you parent your children.
Is that the same thing as a trauma?
It can be a trauma. Depends. It can be a trauma. Sometimes it can be our life experiences. Maybe the kind of home we were raised, the kind of maybe a child that was a victim of sexual abuse. So some of these things, by the time you don't deal with it at the initial stage, when you become an adult, some people will tell you, there are some people that will tell you, okay, I was raised in this home, my parents were very abusive towards me, but look at me, I turned out right. But sometimes if you dig deeper, you will realize that they didn't turn out right. They're actually actions, as in there are so many
pointers.
things, yes, in their life, currently going on in their life, that are pointers to the fact that they are still having like spillover effect from that particular incident that happened in the past. So that's why it's very important for us to take life, even as teenagers, every phase in life, we take it one step at a time. You deal with issues, then you move on to the next stage of life.
Okay, at what age, or should I say, what would you consider to be the age range within which children begin to experience confusion as regards their personalities?
Okay, at what age? Most often than not, it still falls to that age, that adolescent age, between the age of 11 to 18. But most often than not, that identity crisis, that confusion, it peaks, like it's more intense within the age of 14 to 18. So you realize that for children around that maybe 11, sometimes it may begin to show in the way they behave. Maybe a child that used to be more outgoing, suddenly they want, no, that's when children or adolescents are going through that phase. Even parents, you will notice some changes. Sometimes you will notice that they want a child that used to be very outgoing, they want to keep to themselves. Sometimes they may even
suddenly become withdrawn.
Withdrawn, yes. They may even be desire to seek their independence. It's at that point you have more children who run away from the home. Your child that you will scold before over something, the child will not retaliate, the child will not say anything, the child will take it. Sometimes that's why we normally, as teen coaches, we always tell parents, the way you discipline a younger child should be different from the way you discipline a teenager, because of this particular stage, so that you will not end up at the end of the day, you now kind of enrage your teenager, and they will not raise. I know that it's not, but sometimes it can happen. They will walk out on you, bash the door, and you begin to ask yourself, oh, where did I go wrong? What did I do? Sometimes it is the way we react or the way we behave towards them. So we need to understand that even they themselves, they don't understand why they are behaving that way. They don't understand the turmoil. Like there's this emotional ups and downs. They don't even understand themselves. It is at that stage that teenagers will begin to question their self-worth. They will even begin to question whether you truly love them.
Okay.
A time will come, you realize, even you as a parent, you ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Especially if you are a believer, you will be like, I raised this child well. So at what point have I gone wrong that this child, even there are some things that you would do, the child will interpret it as lack of love. So they feel misunderstood.
Hatred.
Yes. But that thing, you are trying to do it to help them. You are doing it, but they won't see it that way. But for a younger child, they will just take it. There's a way you will discipline a younger child. Even when they will even be the one to come and apologize to you. They'll come and pet you. Mommy, I'm sorry. You are beating them. They will tell you, Mommy, I'm sorry.
I would have expected that the older child, would be more, should I say, matured.
Matured,
right?
But that's the peculiarity of the stage. They themselves, they don't understand why they feel confused.
That way. All right. Thank you so much, Abigail. What you said is pretty serious. And I think it's something that a lot of parents need to pay attention to. Now, I would like to ask you this, Mr. Dele. From what she has said, like I said, it's really serious. Do you think it's capable of leading a child or leading an adolescent into depression?
Yes, yes, sure. It
I'm talking about identity crisis now.
Yes, it does. And a lot have been, and even in the process, veer off the line and go into more things that will improve or increase the depression stage. Now, I want to quickly add something to what she said. Just as she said, that stage where you do something to them or you did something to them that to you is the right thing. But
you are trying to correct
them. And like you said, they will even take it to, it's like, outrightly hate me.
Hate them, yeah.
Now, it's as a result of, they are in between maturity. And that they are coming from that, like what you did to them when they were younger. They would just say, okay, Mommy, I'm sorry, and move away. Apologize. They're in between.
So they're in the stage between childhood and adulthood.
Yeah, and adulthood. Inside of them, they are saying, I'm mature. I'm a big boy. I'm a big guy. I'm a big. But the other, the fact that they are still within that teenage, making them to have that kind of behavior. Then another thing there is you see. Just as he said, sometimes I tell my teachers when we have some issues in school, and I tell them, don't beat this child. A parent that was never parented can parent.
That's deep.
Because that is the.
So are you by any means implying, sorry to interrupt, that there are parents who are who were never parented,
yes.
or who have never really lived up to their full potential as parents.
Yes, just as you see, this topic is very, very important because these are things that translate to the next society we will have, the next generation will have. Just
like
as
that.
you said, when you miss a stage, now
it's like you're carrying it over.
Yeah, over. Are you getting it now?
Yeah.
Now you miss what you're supposed to have learned at this stage. You miss at this later. It's most difficult to get back, or it's most difficult to
because you've outgrown that stage.
You have outgrown that stage. Now, when it comes to depression, one of the things that happen to this because of they also have peer groups.
Yeah.
That's why there are a lot of influential activities that influence that they are molding. So you as parents, you have to learn them. Churches have to learn them.
Yes.
Okay.
Schools have to learn them. It has to be that you have crops of these things so that you can compose it together to train them and tell them and know what to.
So what you're saying in essence is that all hands must be on deck.
Yes, all. That's why I said some churches have teenage ministry, and you expect the coordinators, the people there, to learn this thing. Same thing with parents. I said I was on 14 this Valentine.
Yeah.
I was a minister in a teenage meeting, and I was shocked when a teenager said, there are some parents that needs to be sit down and taught.
A teenager.
Yeah, a teenager. See, I was shocked because I know the teenager, and at the same time I said, wow,
that's serious.
I think this is serious. And she was saying a lot of things. She was saying a lot of things that she could not.
I think
say
it actually underscores how much a lot of teenagers of this generation know.
Yes, they do.
Yes, exposed to a whole lot of things.
You should not you should not look at them the way people like us were, or the
your
way
your children can actually read you.
Yes, they do. They read you, and they know more. They know more. They know more than you think they know.
They know. All right.
They know more than you think they know.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Dele, for that very interesting one. Now, I'd like to ask you this question, Abigail. Is there a difference between self-esteem and confidence? Because a lot of times, I think both words or both terms are interchanged, right? They're used interchangeably.
Yeah,
so,
right.
do you think there's a difference between both?
Okay, yes. There's actually a slight difference because, like you rightly said, people use them interchangeably.
Yeah.
But there is a slight difference between both of them. While both self-esteem and self-confidence focus on how we feel about ourselves, but self-esteem, on the other hand, has to do with